Good evening and welcome to the September 6th, September 8th council meeting. Members of the public are provided with the following methods to watch and participate in this open meeting. You can attend in person at the North Dumfries Community Complex. You can attend electronically via Zoom to observe the meeting and to speak to an item on the agenda. You can watch the live stream by accessing the meeting on the Township's YouTube page, or you can submit written comments to the clerk's division that were provided to council members and will form part of the public record. And as a note on that, an addendum was sent out to us just minutes ago regarding another item on it, and it has been put onto the township website with the rest of the documentation. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge and thank everyone for joining us this evening. We appreciate your participation. As we come together to serve the community, I ask that we create a welcoming and positive environment for everyone that includes respect, that we listen to each other with care, speak thoughtfully, and engage kindly with one another. Kindness, that we treat everyone, council, staff, and the public with respect and understanding, and inclusion, that we embrace diverse perspectives and respect each other's opinions. I find the more I listen to other people's opinions, the broader my mind gets, and I think that's a good thing. Together, we can make this meeting space one where respect, kindness, and inclusion are at the heart of everything we do. Behavior that is disrespectful, disruptive, aggressive, or intimidating will result in those individuals being asked to leave the meeting. Of course, none of you would do that. Council members included. Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. Councilor Woolman.
Moved by myself, by Councilor Tilly, that council adopt the September 8th, 2025 council meeting agenda as presented with the following addendum: 1. Add correspondence received for item 14.2.7, report number PD 53-25, discussion, draft terms of reference, Sprague's Road District Cultural Heritage Landscape Study. And 2. Add memorandum from N. McNeely CAO regarding item 14.2.7, report number PD 53-2025, discussion, draft terms of reference, Sprague's Road District Cultural Heritage Landscape Study.
All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. I'd now like to do the Indigenous acknowledgement. We acknowledge the land on which we gather today as the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and neutral people. I acknowledge the enduring presence in which we share this land with the Indigenous people, their achievements and their contributions to our community. We offer this acknowledgement as an act of reconciliation between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples of Canada. And over the last few years since we brought this to Highland, I have found them to be respectful, listening, willing to work with us, something we should all be willing to do in return, because we do it for the betterment of Canada. And that's important to all of us. So if we can pause and reflect on that for a few minutes. Thank you. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general interest thereof? Seeing none. Motion to go into close, please. Mr. Williams.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Woolman, that council move into a closed meeting session at 6:03 p.m. pursuant to the Municipal Act Section 239(2) to discuss 6.1 report number LGL 7007-2025 Mitchell Street Plan of Condominium File 30 CDM 23301 case number OLT 25000535. Interior Land Tribunal litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, Municipal Act Section 239(2)(e), and advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, Municipal Act Section 239(2)(f).
All those in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Moved by myself, second by Council Williams, that council reconvene into open session at 6:19 PM.
All those in favor? All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Council reviewed the contents of the LGL report number 07/2025 and a presentation from legal counsel and staff. Arising from the discussion of the report, direction has been provided to legal counsel and staff in terms of the next steps as it relates to the appeal of condition 1.32 payment in cash in lieu of parkland draft plan approval on the file number 30 CDM 23301. Legal counsel and staff will return to a future council meeting of council with a further update on this matter. Can I have the adoption of the council minutes, please, Council Rowland?
Moved by myself, second by Council Williams, that council approve the following meeting minutes. 9.1, council meeting minutes dated August 11th, 2025. 9.2, special council meeting minutes dated August 13th, 2025. 9.3, special council meeting minutes dated August 28th, 2025.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. For presentation, excuse me. Request of the consent agenda items for separate consideration of public speaker identification. Anyone wish to lift that item from consent? Seeing none, and the public. Can I please have the consent agenda motion, please? Councilor Rowlands.
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Rowland, that the following reports as listed on the September 8, 2025 consent agenda be received, and the recommendations contained therein be approved and acted upon. 13.1.1, report number FD 0-09-2025, Fire Department Incident Response Summary for August 2025. And that the following information items as listed on the September 8, 2025 consent agenda be received. 13.2.1, A, correspondence received from the Ministry of Natural Resources regarding proposed updates to certain operational policies under the Ag Resource Act. B, resolution received from the town of Grimsby regarding opposition to Bill 5, protecting Ontario by unleashing our economy Act 2025. C, resolution received from the town of Grimsby regarding elected respect pledge. D, correspondence received from Christine Harvey regarding urgent safety concerns at blind corner hazard. E, resolution received from the Township of Rivendell, Lyndoch, and Regland regarding request for exemption to propose mandatory firefighter certification requirements. F, resolution received from the town of city of Brantford regarding advocacy for provincial scrap metal legislation and bail system reform 2025. And G, correspondence received from Herminder Dunsop regarding the stop sign on Leslie Davis Road.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Report number PW 13/2025, East River Road surplus land allowance. Any members of the public wish to speak on this item? Any questions from members of council? Seeing none, can I have a motion, please, Council Rowland? Oh, wait a minute, Council Chair, please.
Moved by myself, second by Council Rowland, that report number 13-2025 be received. And that bylaw number 3584-25 being a bylaw to stop up and close a portion of the public highway known as East River Road in 03844-0583 North Dumfries be enacted, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign any documents as required to complete this process.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Next is report number PW 14/2025, request to quote award, ACC exterior renovations. Any members from the public wish to speak on this? Council members, any questions? Seeing none, can I have the motion, please, Council Rowland?
Moved by myself and by Council Tilly that Peter report number 14-2025 be received and that council approve the award of contract ND 2025 D15 RFQ for ACC exterior renovation in the amount of $175,027.20 net HST to Walter Fetty, and that a project contingency of $25,000 net HST be established, and that a budget of $12,500 net HST be included for geotechnical material testing works as required. That treasurer be authorized to fund the variance of $37,530 from the ACC facility reserve account, and the mayor clerk be authorized to execute any necessary documents to facilitate the completion of this project.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. And next is 14.2.3, report number PD 55/2025, proposed red line revision and modifications to draft plan approval, plan of subdivision file number 30T 89031, phase 2 of Maple Manor Estates. Sam, would you like to stand ahead? Is going to say anything?
Madam Mayor, members of council, it's been a while.
It has.
I'm here in support of the staff recommendation. Andrew and Michael did a great job of preparing it. I've been brought onto this file after the fact when the other planners sort of went to work someplace else, so I get to finish up the job. So I'm here to support the application and answer any questions I can.
Thank you. If any member of the public wish to speak on this? Any questions from council? Can I have the motion, please, Councilor Williams?
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Williams, that PD report number 55/2025 be received. And that council approve the red line revision and modifications to draft plan approval for subdivision file number 30T-89031. Included with report of attachments numbers 1 and 2 to facilitate the future development of phase 2 of the Maple Manor Estates Inc. And residential development containing 25 residential lots. And that staff issue the notice of decision to adopt the red line revision and modifications to the draft plan approval for subdivision file number 30T-89031 in accordance with the applicable provisions of the Planning Act.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. And report number clerk 13/2025, proposed council meeting schedule for 2026. Any questions from the public? Any questions or comments from council? Can I have the motion, please, Councilor Terry?
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Williams, that the CLK report number 13-2025 be received and the council adopt the 2026 meeting schedule. And that staff publish the adopted 2026 meeting dates on the township's website, social media accounts as per the ongoing public consultation and community outreach program.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. And report number 14/2025, December 2025, and January 2026 municipal holiday schedule. Any questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, councilors. Can I have the motion, please, Councilor Bowman?
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Tilly, that CLK report number 14-2025 be received, and that council authorize that the North Township municipal offices and the administrative office of Township of the North Dumfries Community Complex be closed from Wednesday, December 24th, 2025 at 12 p.m. noon through to Monday, January 5th, 2026 at 8:30 a.m. And the staff be directed to advertise the holiday office closure on the township's website, social media accounts, and the local newspaper.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Next is report number CAO 21/2025, land use planning together, establishing shared expectations and engagement between 6 nations of the Grand River and the municipalities of Waterloo Region. Any questions from the public? I commend CAO McNeely for the job he's done on this. We are one of the only municipalities that have been working with the 6 nations and also the Mississaugas. I'm proud of what we've done with them. I have found them to be cooperative, respectful, and we have a great relationship with them. Any questions from council? Can I have the motion, please, Councilor Terry?
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Roman, that report number 21-2025 be received and that council adopt and embrace the principles, framework, and objectives of the land use planning together document dated August 11th, 2025 with the 6 nations of Grand River, which is designed to inform consultation and engagement protocols on matters associated with land use and long-term planning studies, subject to the following additions. 1, studies undertaken by the township in support of the municipal class environmental assessment process. 2, preparation of cultural heritage landscape studies. And 3, application for site alteration on the township's site alteration bylaw process.
All those in favor? Carries, thank you. And the next one is the one that I'm sure we'll have a lot of discussion. I want to remind everybody there's a 5-minute limit for speaking. A clock will be up in the corner, as you can see here, to time you and when you start, so that you know when you're done. Next is report 14-.2.7, report number PD 53/2025, discussion. Draft terms of reference, Sprague's Road District Cultural Heritage Landscape Study. First I have Bree Gaston. Is Bree here? Go ahead, Bree. So make sure that the mic's on when you get up there, Jill. And you may want that the table raises, so you only raise it for you and bring it down to me.
Good evening, Mayor Thompson and councilors. My name is Bree Gasha, and I am here today to speak to agenda item 14.2.7, Sprague's Road District Cultural Heritage Landscape Study. I am in support of option 2 of the staff report before you today, requesting immediate action to conduct a CHL study. Before I begin, I would like to say thank you for giving the opportunity to delegate on this matter. I am a longtime resident of North Dumfries, born and raised, attending Dickey Settlement School before moving on to Cedar Creek in Ayr. I currently divide my time between Roseville and Hamilton, where I work. Actioning a cultural heritage landscape study, or CHL, is of particular importance to me as a community member who strongly believes in protecting the rare and both culturally and environmentally significant lands that we are fortunate to have in our township. While we can stand before you today and share all sorts of personal stories about my connection to the land, as an avid hiker, a local history lover, and an environmental activist, we all know decisions in government are not made on sentiment, nor should they be. So rather, I would like to reinforce the facts of this matter and impress upon this council the importance of moving swiftly on this work before it is too late. I would also like to note that I am speaking from a place of expertise on this work. I earned a master's degree in architectural history with a focus on cultural and community preservation, and I am deeply familiar with the CHL processes, policies, and legislation. Option 2 of the staff report before you is the only acceptable and appropriate option for this work, due to a myriad of reasons. There's significant evidence supporting this study. We know that there were recent reports and an expert opinion that were brought forward. It's also been endorsed by a list of expert partners, including the North Dumfries Conservation Alliance, the Architectural Conservancy of Ontario, the Wildlife Management Six Nations of the Grand, the Heritage Resource Centre at the University of Waterloo, who in particular named this district as a candidate for a CHL in their 2022 study. The Sprague's Road District is one of only 4 environmentally sensitive landscapes in all of Waterloo region. If we break that down in numbers, North Dumfries makes up approximately 188 square kilometers of our region. The rest of the region, just over 1,100 square kilometers. That means that this township, at only 14% of the land in the entire region, contains 1 in 4 or 1/4 of all ESLs. The Sprague's Road, the district also contains Carolinian forests and protected wetlands, which we know are home to a significant number of endangered species. Carolinian forests are prized and protected by most municipalities in Ontario who are fortunate enough to have them. The district of discussion has also been recognized for its significant resources, heritage resources, such as A1 zoned agricultural land and architecturally and historically significant buildings, many of them under the Ontario Heritage Act. Now, if that's not enough to support the decision for option 2 here today, I would draw on municipal and provincial priorities and policies to support this as rationale. Under Ontario Regulation 9-06, the criteria for determining cultural heritage value of interest, the proposed study area actually exceeds the requirement for designation, fulfilling 6 of the 9 criteria. It should be noted only 2 are actually required for designation. Finally, let us not forget that as a township, we do have an official plan, which, ratified by council, exists as both a roadmap for politicians and staff alike, and is a promise and a commitment to community members. Our official plan commits to identifying and designating cultural heritage landscapes, and we're responsible to act on this now. Without moving forward with option 2 for an immediate technical CHL study, we are taking on a measurable risk as a community. The negative impact that a lack of protection will have on the district, which ultimately means continued industrial development, will result in 2 distinct types of loss. The first is tangible loss, where we will lose rare ecosystems and species, and we will see them disappear. The second is intangible loss, whereby we will erode our community identity, our sense of pride and place, and our shared histories. I can't begin to determine which type of loss is worse, but what I can share is that both are irreversible, and the decisions that we make now will impact this township forever. I'll close with one final thought. We all know that our culturally and environmentally significant lands are valuable, but they are something for us to celebrate and not something for us to sell. Thank you for your time.
You did excellent. Your timing was almost perfect. You have 14 seconds left, but everything you stated was really important and you stated it well. Thank you very much. Thank you. Any questions from council? Thank you, Zee. Next, we have our one and only Dave Piper on behalf of the North Dumfries Conservation Alliance, and he's registered for 5 minutes. Dave, please. Pretty sure I have that one.
That's hard act to follow.
Yeah.
Holy smokes. Before my 5 minutes kicks in, I gotta play with this. I never knew this did this. Holy smokes, I would have done better before. Okay, you know who I am, I guess. I'm here representing the North Dumfries Conservation Alliance as vice chair. I'm also the chair of the North Dumfries Historical Preservation Society. We have common interests. Common interests are protecting the heritage of this township. That relates both to the lands and to the items, archives, artifacts. Our goal here is tonight to encourage you and support recommendation number 2. Because we see that as the one recommendation that will lead to a conclusion that will in fact make a difference in this township. We feel the other options are somewhat dead end. The area of Sprague's Road, it's already pointed out, the most environmentally sensitive area in all of Waterloo region. I've heard that from many people over the years. Recognized by many groups. My predecessor speaker pointed all of that out. And for the region, it's very significant. This is unlike any other place in the entire context of Waterloo region. So what are some of the features that make it different? Again, some of this has been talked about. Carolinian forests, this is the northern border for Carolinian forests. Beyond that, they don't exist. We ruin ours, then it'll never be back here in Waterloo region. Pot lakes, you know, Taylor Lake, Bannister Lake. You know how a pot lake's made? Anybody?
Issues?
Glaciers, yes. It's a hole left in the glacier forms. And they are only in this area. They're not north, they're not in Woolwich, they're not in Wilmot, they're here. Grassy Lake is a wetland, quite significant to the point where the University of Guelph manages that property because it's so significant. Glaciation left moraines and esters and drumlins all through the area. And yes, I know that's perfect for the gravel industry, bad for everybody else. But frankly, it also protects your water. And we have rare wildlife here and there and everywhere, which are now under attack by pesticides, apparently. What about the cultural and historical features? Places like the Dryden Track, the Bannister Trails. Those are very unusual. And in fact, cross over with moraines and drumlins and esters all over the place. It's very significant. Do you know where the Swan Inn was?
I remember the picture.
Just about Wrigley's Corners, right where all the water is. It's not there. It was the primary place and stop between Paris and Galt in the 19th century. Do you know the origin of Sprague's Road? Do you ever wonder why it doesn't conform to the grid pattern everywhere else? Well, there was a farmer in the Galt area, way in the Galt area, who had a herd of cattle had no pasture land. There was pasture land halfway to Paris. And so every spring he would take his cows and they would walk through the forest, down along the pathway that they created, until it became such a pathway, it was the road. Sprague's Road is, that's technically cow road. Those are things you don't want to lose. Sprague's is supposed to be a scenic road. It's scenic because of its heritage, not because of its planning. And if you want to know more about this area, reference this book, Andrew Taylor's Today's and Yesterday's. And if you haven't read it, I know Alita has, you should read that to really understand the decisions you're making. And not to mention, frankly, all of the indigenous items that have been found in this area over the years as well. Our goal here tonight is to request the approval of option 2. As I said before, we believe it's the only option that will actually lead to preservation and conservation in this area. And we are under more and more industrial development pressures, just residential development pressures. And we're working with the provincial government that frankly has no interest in heritage of any kind. And you know that from Bill 35 or whatever it was. So you are the vanguard. You are the stewards. You are the protectors of North Dumfries for its residents.
30 seconds. In.
Yep, awesome. That leaves you with a tough decision, but your people are counting on it. And there's good reason to follow through. I want to thank Councillor Wilms for taking a leadership role in this and bringing this to the table. It's been long overdue. We thank her for doing that. The township is depending on you to protect both their natural heritage and their environmental futures. We wish you well in that endeavor. Thank you.
Indeed, you did quite well. Thank you very much.
Anita Mark. Hold up fingers. Anything else? Nope.
Next, I have Tom Heffington on behalf of ACO, Cambridge and North Dumfries has registered to speak for 5 minutes. Tom? You can't speak twice, yeah, I can't come up and talk.
Can't speak twice.
No.
Tom had a conflict, so he's not here, and I'll speak as an individual. Later.
Yeah, okay. So next I have Karen Scott Booth.
Okay, so Mayor Foxton, members of council, staff and citizens. I'm Karen Scott Booth, and I am speaking as an individual this evening. I am a property owner of and my husband and I are property owners of significant heritage property situated at the center of the study area. And we fully support the need to further protection and conservation of this identified significant landscape. With that, we strongly encourage our members of council to support option number 2, to direct staff to move forward and to undertake the next phase of the technical study process required, and without delay. The significant landscape was first identified in 2022 with the CHL study with the Heritage Resources Centre, University of Waterloo. And since that time, its significance in this area has been identified and reinforced with no less than 5 additional expert studies and reports. It has been determined to exceed as Bree said, it has been determined to exceed the required provincial 2 criteria for designation, and it meets 6 of the 9 possible criteria. The importance and cultural heritage significance of this area is not in question. How we respond to it is, it has been 3 years since its first identification. It is now 6 months since the original motion to proceed was passed. Unnecessary delays due to the friendly amendment to that motion have circumvented the intended process of appropriate consultation with all stakeholders and created delay, confusion, and even concern among some.
Can we keep to the topic and not attack, please? Thank you.
This is the topic.
Okay.
Many are excited about the potential this project holds for our community. We see this as an ideal opportunity to stand together with our neighbors and our Indigenous partners in the conservation of these significant lands, to honor those who have come before us, to demonstrate to our children and for the generations to follow that we embrace the responsibility for the stewardship of these lands. And we lead by example, an act of true reconciliation. We need to move forward with this without further delay. Thank you.
Thank you. And I remind everyone that we will talk, please, respectfully. And not accusations, not comments about maybe if things were delayed or whatever. So thank you. Next up, Leanne is online. Hello, Leanne. You're up next. Go ahead. You have 5 minutes here.
Hi there. Thank you so much. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. My apologies. I can't see the 5-minute clock, but I am going to try and keep this very short.
Remind you.
Okay, perfect. My name is Lana Wigboldis. To give you a short background on myself, I hold a master's and a PhD in cultural heritage studies and world heritage with a specialization on cultural heritage landscapes on an international scale. I currently work for an independent heritage organization, an Ottawa-based firm called Cultural Spaces, which works across Canada on a variety of projects from World Heritage nominations to HCD studies to protected area management. I also was born and raised in North Dumfries in Brown Subdivision with a father interested in heritage conservation and restoration. Some of you may know of Detweiler Meeting House, and an architect grandfather who designed notable elements in Cambridge, for example, Queen Square Library and the Maple Leaf Fountain in Galt. I sat on the board of Heritage Cambridge for several years, first as a student representative and then as secretary. So my link to the region and my professional commitments make this a topic that is near and dear to my heart. I'm here today to support recommendation number 2 to promote the cultural heritage landscape technical study to safeguard the heritage resources of this region. The Sudden Forest and surrounding lands are part of a unique cultural and natural landscape in North Dumfries with both regional and provincial significance. The landscape reflects centuries of history, community identity, and ecological value. The area has already been identified as a candidate cultural heritage landscape in 2022 by the University of Waterloo and recognized as part of the Dumfries Carolinian environmentally sensitive landscape. Numerous external research projects and professional assessments have also highlighted the cultural importance of this landscape. However, these lands are under threat from unsympathetic development, for example, on Spraggs Road and the Edworthy West Aggregate Pit proposal. It must be understood that once compromised, the integrity of a cultural landscape cannot be restored. Each alteration erodes the heritage values as well as any ecological and social functions that the lands provide. The township's official plan commits to identifying, documenting, and designated cultural heritage landscapes in line with the regional policy. Advancing a cultural heritage landscape technical study now will align with these responsibilities, closing a gap in past planning and safeguarding resources that remain under active threat. Potential designation as a cultural heritage landscape would provide the tools necessary to protect and conserve the area as a whole, and delaying the outcome could only increase the risk of loss. I would urge council to move forward with a cultural heritage landscape technical study, as acting now will provide proactive protection and ensure these landscapes are preserved for future generations. Thank you so much.
Leanne, I had the privilege of sitting on the LACAT committee with your father for many, many years, and please say hi for me.
I definitely shall.
You still have 2 minutes. Do you want to add anything really quickly?
I'm fine. Thank you so much. But he says hi back. He also mentioned. So
Is there any other members of the public that wish to speak on this item? Please come forward and give your name. Seeing that now? Okay, go ahead. No, come.
I wasn't running. I was gonna walk. My name's Jeanette Lorenz, and I have a letter that's noted in the package. I too want to commend Councillor Williams for bringing this forward at an earlier meeting. I don't have the expertise that other people had shared with you earlier. I'm just a resident, but very much a wildlife person and want the land protected. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeanette. Now, council will discuss, and it will not be open to the public. So, councilors, questions, comments? No questions or comments, Councillor Bowman.
Madam Mayor, so I'll lead off. As chair of the Heritage Advisory Committee, I just want to say that I'm going to have to advocate for option number 3, because council has already directed the Heritage Advisory Committee to begin the process of narrowing down the heritage list, which we are now in the stages of doing. We sent the letters out, we got responses back, so now we're down to the last, number of properties that need to be considered for designation. My understanding is that's going to cost approximately $5,000 or $6,000 per property. If we have, let's say, 30 properties, that's $180,000. So for council's benefit, in my opinion, the crux of this debate is not whether or not it's a CHL or not a CHL. The debate is In 2027, the province has said heritage list will be gone, and if it's not designated, the properties are off list, so the time is running out on that clock. There's no clock on the CHL. The CHL can be done in 2027 or 2028, makes no difference. If heritage is not completed by 2027, it's done. So all I'm saying is that the crux is the Heritage Resources Project Reserve, $100,000 is what staff have identified as the funding model for this potential CHL. That same money is already allocated for the Heritage Project. So we don't have double those funds. We have to decide, are we going to spend $100,000 protecting our heritage? And as David Piper said, Vanguard, Protectors of North Dumfries heritage. Well, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to protect the heritage, the built heritage, that process already underway. The CHL we can look at a future date. So council has to decide, do we want to spend the $100,000, finish the project we've already started, we've already directed the Heritage Advisory Committee to do, project that is 2/3 of the way underway, or do we pull the pin on that project, disband the Heritage Committee and say, that's it, we don't need you anymore, thank you for your service, and we move forward with the CHL. So I'm voting for option number 3.
Council Williams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In response to the concerns that Councillor Wilderman has raised as chair of the Heritage Advisory Committee. So a lot of this work can be done in tandem. For one, I believe that when we do the study for the natural heritage landscape, the homes that we have identified within that area would also have a lot of their research completed at the same time, because that's part of the process, is that you do the research for the homes. And we have it done within that, so there would be cost savings there, and there would be opportunities there for overlap. I don't see how these would have to be a choice. I think we need to do both. I don't think that this is in any way saying that the work that the Heritage Advisory Committee has done is wrong. It's not. I fully support the work there. So the question becomes, I think, one of monetary issues. More so than can we do both? I think we can do both, and I think in many ways we might even realize some cost savings by doing both at the same time. So the question is, how do you split $100,000 pie across $180,000 plus an $80,000? And the math, you're right, the math doesn't compute like that. However, what we've done is there's a couple things to note. And so when we originally commissioned the Heritage Advisory Committee, we never set aside funds at all until, what is it, 2-3 months ago, when the $100,000 came to be. Am I? Yeah. Thank you. So we missed an opportunity as council to actually put aside some reserve money and start saving up for this bill, because we knew it was coming. We knew at least yours we knew that was coming. So that's really to them, and it is what it is. There's a lot of grant opportunities available as well, and that wasn't mentioned in the report, but I think that is something, before we completely just dismiss this and say, let's not do this till 2027. I would rather we went with option 2, because there's a lot of grant money that is available for things like that. And we've never really looked for this grant money, I think, as a township. And I think that would be important that the Heritage Advisory Committee is doing. Need for restoring the ACC. We've listened to residents when it comes to the twin pad. So in a sense, would it be a good idea for council to listen to, not to also heed the concerns and the requests and wishes of these residents, just as we've done for other residents in the past.
Council Roman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I guess the question I have is done now, is maybe staff can comment. Is there a fear of imminent development in this area that places this location at the top of our most vulnerable list of areas? Or is this just something that Council Wilms has put forward as her pet project? But is it really something that Council really needs to put at the top of our list?
See, I'm feeling. Computer science me.
Madam Mayor, through to Councilor Ball. I mean, certainly we're aware that there are commercial grade aggregate reserves available out of that area. There is always the potential that other applications might be. If we know that some lands in that area have been acquired or have leases negotiated for future operations. Timing unknown. In terms of other land use development, certainly this is not an area that's been contemplated for expensive and use policies to allow the ability to entertain consent activity for residential development. The majority of the land outside of environmental systems is designated rural in this area. And as such, there is the possibility that you could see consent applications being advanced. That is just a paradigm shift because previously, the region official plan did not allow for residential development outside of established settlement. Where you were filling in a gap between the two established non-farm residential units. So there has been a relaxation by the province of Ontario. And there is the ability to entertain some site-specific consent-related activity for rural residential development. So if I'm looking at change in the land use, or potential for land use change, those would be the two possibilities. And once again, it's not something that's sponsored by the municipality, so can't dictate when those might materialize, they're within the realm of possibility.
Council Roman and then Council Wills.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So if I may respond to the CEO, the consent applications that he's discussing, he mentioned, are minor in nature. These are people who are severing off lots and building small buildings. This is not talking about subdivisions. I think the real elephant in the room here is the question about gravel pits and aggregate operations. So I guess staff can answer the question, will the CHL stop aggregate operations or will they go ahead regardless of whether or not we have a CHL in place?
C.R. McNally.
So obviously, not knowing exactly what the future policies of a CHL may say. Because part of the exercise based on the accumulation of background information and screening. And looking at those relationships between built form, natural systems, features, etc. We don't know what the final outcome would be in terms of proposed boundaries. And or what directive policies could be embodied in this CHL. Every CHL is going to be driven by different characteristics or elements. And as such, no two are going to have the same range of policies because the feature systems or relationships are going to be different. That's what makes them unique. The reality is, it would be important, assuming CHL is adopted,
It would confirm a strategy if there is going to be development application, and that can be new scale development, right down to the individual consent for rural residents, through to something of larger an order of magnitude, such as an expansion to an existing gravel pit and or a new gravel pit application. And the proponent would have to demonstrate through a technical report undertaken by a qualified individual what is the relationship of that proposed activity in the context of the CHL? What are the policy implications as set out in the official plan as it relates to whatever the priorities are for that specific CHL? They may identify mitigation means to lessen the impact on the CHL or its overall policy. So while it may not be an outright prohibition, it could be a reshaping from, I'm gonna call it standard fare. And what that may mean is more of an exaggerated setback from adjacent streets, so that more landscaping or plantings of native species could be incorporated. So instead of doing 30-meter buffer, some traditional offset, it could be, 90, 120 meters, whatever. That may be one of the mitigation measures that are deployed. It is difficult to ascertain what the strategy would be because there's going to be different sensitivities depending upon where in the CHL that future aggregate operation could be. As well as not knowing the outcome of a policy regime would direct. But it is an element that would have to be dealt with as part of any planning review for any scale development.
Council Williams.
So I just wanted to make two comments. One was, I thought it was a bit disrespectful to call this my pet project. Sorry. This is, I know I brought this forward, but it's not my pet project. It's something that I really do think would be a good idea for the township to pursue. Secondly, I would also not see this as the aggregate as the elephant in the room. I know that aggregate might very well be impacted, but what the focus is on the protection of this area as a whole. And not just on let's stop something. Instead, let's preserve something. Let's keep something that we have here in this region that is a real treasure. And let's take care of it the way that we would like to other people to take care of our, things that we value. Because this is something that we should be valuing, and I know that we do, but I'm just saying, I don't think that this is necessarily about aggregate. I think that this needs to be about looking at what we see in this area that we want to protect. And this is also the right timing for it, because right now we're reviewing all of our policy plans, our planning documents, and we have that work is undergoing now that that's our responsibility. So to also include this in there would actually help streamline that process as well. Where instead of if we have to wait till 2027, we would then be amending the policy that we just sent to the province, hopefully before that maybe, but that we've just sent to the province again, if this, if there's something here, and I think there is. So that is something else I would like to know as well. Just for consideration here.
Councillor Tim.
First, I would like to ask a question through the staff, whether or not they would please, if they could please provide options for financing both the CHL and the heritage assessment and understanding, see what the feedback is from that. We did, actually, Councilor Williams did mention the grant potential, and whether or not we'd already have reached out in any way through staff has done that already. Just to get a better understanding of where they're currently situated, if that's a completely new pool that might be available to us, or if it's something we've already been researching into.
So Madam Mayor, through to Councillor Tilley. As we identified in the staff report, we actually don't know what the cost to complete the CHL. We have suggested that based on the extensive labor related work in terms of field research, literature research, drawing that information together in companion with the engagement point, because there's a lot of touch points, both with the area residents, Heritage Advisory Council, council, as well as the two First Nations peoples. There's a fair bit of consultation and engagement, and there's a series of touch points at key milestones through the life of the study. As such, we have suggested back at napkin, it probably be in the order of around 80,000. But until we actually see those competitive bids, that is just a crude estimate. So not knowing what the end costs would be is a question mark. The other is on the retaining of experts to assist us with doing the final scoring and evaluation of candidate properties that may be warranted on a Part 4 designation, and the associated description becomes a schedule to the implement bylaw. We do not have the resources in-house or the expertise in-house to undertake that fine language analysis and supporting information. And the intent would be if there's a roster of properties where it's been identified that they may warrant that level of protection and recognition. The owner is a willing partner with the municipality to see the property designated, because it's been past practice of council to only designate where there's a willing landowner. We would undertake that analysis, and we've estimated property to property is generally going to be in the order of around 4,000, 6,000. And that's based on some recent work that's been undertaken over the last 2 or 3 years on a handful of properties where we've advanced Part 4 designations. I don't know at this point in time how many properties on the current heritage inventory list will actually migrate to a final point where, you know, it warrants a Part 4 designation. And the other caveat is a willing landowner that would support such a designation on their property. So it is hard for me to tell you how does this fit into a budget, not knowing the true cost of a CHL. And or how many properties may gravitate to that final chapter on Part 4 designation. We did approximately 2 months ago set aside $100,000 as part of a reserve to deal with heritage resource review studies. We did identify that in the council report. Council has the ability to draw from other reserve accounts. We do have a broader planning reserve account. Most of that will be drawn from the preparation of the new official plan. But it may, once again, when we go to the competitive market, we actually get bids. There may be some money left in that reserve account to satisfy the finalization of that project and still have dollars available, which could then be deployed by council to augment one or the other of those 2 heritage focused reviews. So we've got a lot of balls in the air. Council does have some levers available to them.
Councillor Tilley.
In regards as well to the grants, is that something that we are aware of, specific ones or the ones we've reached out to?
So we are aware of, they've largely been federal realm or heritage focused studies. We have not applied the scope of this work to the eligibility criteria. And I don't know when the window will be for those grant applications, if they're available in the 25-26 time.
Can somebody help me get in, please? Or he's not available. Council Williams.
Through you, Madam Mayor, and to staff. I also understood that there was the Regional Heritage Foundation that also had grants for items like this. And I think that they typically have their grants open starting in November. Is this? Have this something that staff has looked into as well? Like beyond the federal, there's also local opportunities here that I'm trying to.
But it's small enough.
So, Madam Mayor, through the Council Williams. There is, funds available through the region of Waterloo for heritage-focused activities. Almost exclusively, those dollars have been set aside for actual refurbishment of, designated properties, to assist in undertaking the scale project, to preserve and, replace elements to further the architectural or cultural significance of an address. The the eligibility parameters are not narrowly defined to be exclusively that. That's how most of the monies in the recent maps have been allocated. We have not pursued discussions with the region as to the criterion for how the grant may be applied in the 25-26 year. All of the grant awards from the committee have undergone a upheaval in terms of new screening criterion. I have not seen the new screening criterion that's approved by regional council related to this program, their upstream funding program, and other recent initiatives. Regional council asked for new guiding framework for all of the grant structures.
So I'm going to pick some brains from the audience. I'm going to ask the Amy and also David Pfeiffer as historical people. When we did the conservation district on Greenfield Road West, and you also council, like, did that cost us? Do you remember?
I wasn't involved with that, but I think Anders is correct. The money in that fund is designated towards primarily buildings that are in a designated historical area. But I would suggest that money could be flipped into the project that Councillor Rowland has talked about, releasing funds for the other project if you were looking to try and find a source of income. You certainly could do it now.
Well, actually, I heard CEO McNeely saying that there was some possibilities. So, see, we know this is tough times for everybody. People are losing their homes. But we also know that if you don't do it, we lose significant. I can remember, when it was so overgrown, and my brother's, gosh, he's 20 years older than I am, built a fort out there as a kid, and they go out and they called it Darkest Africa. And it was an amazing road. The trees came right over the road and it created this tunnel type thing. And I mean, it's been cut back now, which is kind of sad, but I remember going through as a kid and thinking, what an amazing place. And we do have some amazing landscaping here. And I don't think it's a wise thing about this build homes now and push and skyscrapers and everything else. And we are very unique because we're not forced into that right now by the province. So, and I see Councillor Rowland, he's conflicted because I believe he believes in this as well, but he's trying to hold on to his money for his heritage. So I'm gonna ask the community possibly do some more juggling should this motion pass. And I haven't gotten to the point where this motion is going to pass yet, but CEO McNeely.
So, Madam Mayor, not knowing what the outcome of the allocation would be in terms of what the bids would look like. Assuming that it's over 50,000, and because this has not been a budgeted item, the terms of reference with the competitive bids actually comes back to council for approval. This council notionally has to direct an amendment to the 2025 budget to actually fund the study. But by then you will also know what the study would cost and whether or not sufficient funds in the present reserve account. And as I mentioned a moment ago, whether or not funds are drawn from that parallel planning studies account, understanding the majority of that money was allocated to the beneficial plan update. So between the two accounts, there potentially could be enough money. But council actually has to approve the award of the contract. And then amend, direct the treasurer to amend the 2025 budget. For whatever that amount is and the source of funding or sources of funding to complete the study. Same thing will have to happen if we advance the individual consideration of properties for Part 4 designation. Right now, the committee is working diligently on putting the list down. At some point later this fall, they'll be appearing for council with a recommendation that properties X through Z warrant further technical assessment. And we have a better understanding of what people's magnitude would be based on the number of properties.
We also have, we're close to the 2026 budget too. So going out for an RFP and regards to this, and it coming back to us, may lead us to time we're looking at the 2026 budget. So we may be able to incorporate it into 2026, even though the RFP is going out in 2025.
So if we're in the marketplace in 2 weeks' time, generally speaking, our bids are posted for 30 to 35 days, generally.
So that's what I'm talking about.
And then, there's whatever evaluation would go into those bids, and then it's in alignment with the council report. So, generally speaking, we'd probably be at the second meeting of October if all things align. So you're well within the context of the 2025 budget. So council would have to allocate, to embark upon the study, council would have to allocate monies in 2025 to fund the study. We've got to, the project timeline may straddle fiscal years. Consistent with our purchasing bylaw, consistent with good audit practices. We have to ensure that the completion of the entire study is funded before we get the contract.
Thank you for clarification. Any other comments, councilors? Councilor Tilly.
Question through you, Mayor, to Councilor Roman. Understanding that the next steps, I'd like to kind of review the next steps, be it with including the CHL or excluding CHL at this point. If we were to include the CHL in this motion and to move forward with it, the Heritage Advisory Committee's assessment of the remaining properties to be added to the Heritage, is that obviously within the line? I'm looking at page 144 of our agenda, and just that area that's in the red, that would be automatically assumed that these properties in the highlighted red line area would be part of the CHL and would be going through automatically through the Heritage Advisory Committee, or they'd be assessed by the whether or not they meet the Heritage Advisory, and then they'd have to be approved by the homeowners as per our current policy, I guess. Is this, if we remove this aspect of the CHL, this component, there would still be a significant amount of work for the Heritage Advisory Committee to still go through the remaining properties that are left in the rest of the township, correct? Or is this the majority of the area? Just because I know you're part of the committee, I'm just trying to get to where we're currently standing. 2/3 is where I think you stated we're at. If you can just kind of help me understand that, I'm just trying to piece this together.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilor Tilly, basically what we're trying to do is narrow down 300 properties down to about 30. So with the cooperation of the clerk, Eric Bell, we've sent letters out to a number of properties informing them that they will be removed from the heritage list. From that has come a few properties that wish to pursue Part 4 designation. Then we have sort of our main list of about 30 properties that we feel are worthy of designation. So now the committee has to go through and looking at the government provincial regulation, we have to ascribe 2 different qualities to each property. It used to be 1 of the regulations, but now you have 2. So it's not enough to say that was John Watson's house. You have to say it's John Watson's house, but it also shows an example of a certain type of architecture or certain features. So now the committee has to go through that extra step to get all that in place. With regards to the properties in the CHL study area, there are 3 or 4 properties that could potentially be designated, but that designation would be separate from the CHL. Because Part 4 designation is a different part of the act than the CHL is a planning act thing, whereas Part 4 designations is an actual statute on its own. So it's 2 different things. If something is designated Part 4, doesn't necessarily have to be part of CHL. And if something's in a CHL, doesn't necessarily have to be a Part 4 designation. So they're 2 separate things, but either way, there's still, yes, there's still a significant amount of work left to do for the committee. That's part 1. Part 2 is, if the committee's gonna go through all this work, I have to go to the committee meeting on Thursday night, and explain to the committee that we have no money left to pursue our project. What do I tell the committee? How do I say we're gonna move forward and get this job done? But council's taking away all the money. So I'm in a bit of a tight spot. So as you see, I'm not opposed to CHLs. I think they play a valuable role. I'm just questioning the timing of the CHL. I'd like to finish the project that council's already given to the Heritage Committee, and then when that's finished, which should be the next few months, then we can look at the CHL. I think that's a reasonable path forward.
Sierra McNeely, can you clarify, this does not take the money from the, from rent designating homes? What will it, this is on top of a different project entirely, is that correct?
So Madam Mayor, this time, council has funded either step. All we've done is protect our reserve, but council has not authorized amendment to the 2025 budget for either designation of the Part 4 buildings and or the CHL.
Councilor Reynolds.
So is the matter really? Okay, so the CEO report was stated that we either could proceed now or we could proceed in 2027. As a matter of year 3 due to Councillor Williman, are you saying we're gonna be done in 2025? Like now I'm a bit confused. So what is it that you what is it that you want to delay this one for in favor of, because you just mentioned if we waited a few months. So what does that mean? Can you provide more information, please?
Councilor Williman.
Madam Mayor, Councilor Wilms. So basically what I'm saying is that the project has to be wrapped up by 2027. And that is in a future council, right? So we're looking at an election next year, 2026. If the Heritage Advisory Committee is able to put forward the properties that need or that should be considered for designation by December of this year, 2025, and the staff brings that forward in February or March of 2026, very quickly we go into a lame duck situation where council is not making any decisions on that. And then if the new council is formed, when the new council is formed, they have basically 1 month to go ahead and get the properties designated. So we're putting staff under tremendous pressure. It's gonna be almost impossible to designate 10 or 20 or 30 properties in a 1 month period. So that would be a tough job for a future council. So all I'm suggesting is that we should try and get this done during this term of council, not have it sitting there for the next term of council, whoever that may be. And then that term of council, or maybe even us at the end of our term of council, can look at the CHL. I really would like to get the properties, Part 4 designation project completed before this term of council ends. That's basically what I'm trying to get.
Councilor Williams.
Okay, so I get, maybe I was confused with what you said previously. It's okay. But I think I'm still not sure why we can't proceed with both, for one. It might be a financial issue. Maybe we go to Could we move ahead to secure bids in the marketplace and have the study start in 2026 to cover the 2026, go into the 2026 budget? You guys have a question for you to staff.
Yeah,
Mayor and Council Rhodes, that could be the direction of council. Council could pre-approve. This is a capital undertaking 26 to be funded in the 26 budget. There's a series of options, levers available to Township Council. Not knowing yet the order of magnitude cost, I can't tell you which would be a preferred pathway. Certainly, once we have a better understanding of what the cost would look like, what is available from the current or planned reserve contributions, we can put that as part of our financial implication strategy when we report back to council on the results of the competitive process, where we identify a preferred consultant to undertake the completion of the study.
so, I could probably try and explain it like if you do it, but do you want to explain lame duck for the public, please? And when it takes effect?
So, Madam Mayor, lame duck occurs when the nomination period actually closes. And if the majority of member council positions are challenged, then we are subject to what they call lame duck provisions. And there are certain elements that council cannot deal with. Sometimes those have been delegated to staff. If I look at prior terms of council, generally speaking, when it comes to financial matters, if it's not in the 2026 budget and it's below a certain dollar threshold, the threshold is $50,000, then it would fall under the lame duck provision. So, not knowing what it would look like in terms of people vying for office for the next term of council, I don't know whether we meet the definition of lame duck. We did not the last municipal election or the election prior to. However, it's always a possibility. And as I said, it's not identified in the 26 budget. That's when the potential may exist as relates for bumping up against one or more provisions of lame duck as relates to a spending commitment.
So just to recap really quickly, if this council has competition for all our seats and we want to push something through, and that would cause a financial implication to the township. Once we lock into lame duck, and so it meets a certain criteria, we're not allowed to push it through because we cannot commit the future council to take on a project that we push through because we want it.
So Madam Mayor, if I can just to finish that, but we would know whether or not this project's being advanced, either having it included in its amendment to the 25 budget or identified in the 26 budget, long before the definition of lame duck would arise.
That's correct, but I was just saying it because Councilwoman brought up lame duck. Who had the name? Councilwoman, please.
Madam Mayor, so I just want to clarify that the confusion that I have is I'm laboring on the misconception that the Heritage Resources Project Reserve was established for the project of the Part 4 designations. That was the message that I brought back to the Heritage Committee. It appears now tonight that that's incorrect, that reserve was not set up for this process. So if that's the case, and this reserve is just a reserve, then I guess Heritage Committee will have to find money somewhere else for the Part 4 designations.
See, is that what was said? I thought this was for the heritage, for their designations.
So Madam Mayor, at the time of dealing with the surplus coming out of fiscal year 2024 and how to allocate 24 surplus, council identified a series of opportunities related to heritage planning. And council actually amended the staff recommendation.
If I could add, I'd like to say thank you.
Go ahead, Gail, go ahead.
I enjoy being in this community and the library was marvelous. And hopefully the kids will be back with all those books that that might be under a bed. So thanks very much.
Take
It's been
care.
a privilege to be here.
So again, see all of you.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
council amended the staff recommendation. And there was a discussion that there are a series of potential studies with a heritage resource focus. One was the assessment of potentially eligible Part 4 properties, but the resolution never specified that the actual reserve was for a defined purpose, other than we were to set off this reserve account or heritage resource studies.
Council Williams.
I think we're trying to deal with a budgetary, but we don't necessarily know the budget. I don't, like, again, I want to see both matters go forward, because I see so much value in the work that the Heritage Advisory Committee is doing. And I don't want to discourage them in some way by trying to. Right now, the discussion seems to be like, it has to be one or the other, because we'll be taking money from Peter to pay Paul, and I don't think that that's a really fair kind of assessment, when we don't even know. Like, we really have to look at, understand it better about what the budget is. So I think what we should do is proceed and actually get that information. Find out what it's gonna cost. And then we can decide whether or not it actually fits into 2025 budget, whether it fits into 2026 budget, or whether it doesn't fit at all. But right now, we're kind of circling around the same items, talking about the same things. And we need to make sure that our budget supports the work from the Heritage Advisory Committee. I'm not going to, that needs to happen. And that this motion is not at all intended to make people feel that their work is not wanted or whatever. It's intended to look at a natural heritage that we have and preserve it. It's not to take away from the work that's already been done.
Well said, Council Williams. I totally agree with you. I think that the Heritage Advisory Committee is doing a great job, and I don't want to stop that at all. And they have a job, they have a time limit, they have to get it done. I would like to right now commit that we're saying that $100,000 will go to the Heritage Advisory Committee on the designations. And that we will look at other things through the budget for this project. Council Williams.
So we're gonna have to have a discussion anyways, because Councilor was saying is 180,000, so we're already short, and I think that's better just to leave those discussions for our budget time, though I agree we need to make sure there's funds for them.
So our budget time starts in January. Right.
Actually, our budget started
Yeah.
August 16th.
Yes, you guys did, but yeah, it's a good expense. So, what do we do with this motion? Your suggestions?
So, Madam Mayor, as I indicated to council, we have to come back with the results of the bid documents, scoring and evaluation and a preferred consultant, and with that will be a budget allowance to complete the study. Council will then be in a better position to understand what is the dollar ask and what sources of dollars would be available.
So I
You know,
will,
if I look ahead later in the fall, the work undertaken through the Heritage Advisory Committee, we might have a better understanding of how many properties going through their early screening might rise to a level warranting a Part 4 designation. And that, once again, is another piece of information that might help us scope what a budget could be for that deliverable and what sources of funding are available.
but I'm not sure what you stated is in this motion.
That's because I'm not asking for you to do the study, because I don't have a study consultant. This is just telling council you've got 4 options. Option 2 is the one that's been discussed the most tonight, which is to direct staff to advance forward, put the RFP document into the marketplace, seek competitive bids.
Okay, so Councillor Tilly.
Just again. Mayor, through you to Councilor Rollman, just wanted to, and I don't know if others spoke for you, and I just wanted to hear from you again, just one more time, just because I believe it's what you said. That you are for the CHL in this, as it currently stands. It's the timing that you're currently having an issue with, but as the CHL stands for, and the location and everything about this area, it's just, there's nothing to debate about, especially getting the assessment. So then the biggest issue is the dollars and figures, making sure they assess. So in that way, I guess what I would be for myself would be to find out what the cost would be for the CHL. But I think Mayor Foxman said this very well, is that your money's locked in. That you have that amount available, because it is, as it is a priority, but I do believe that some of this can run in sequence. Because if we run it, run in parallel. If it runs in parallel, things can be done, but it doesn't necessarily cost us anything at this point. So to give the approval for it, I think makes sense. But then to figure out where the dollars and cents are gonna come from, would be my idea at this point.
So Councillor Williams, a motion, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Tilly, that PD report number 53-2025 be received. And that council adopt the terms of reference for the Sprague's Road District Cultural Heritage Landscape Study as presented in attachment number 1 to this report. And that staff move forward to secure bids in the marketplace for qualified consultants to complete the study.
All those in favor? Is Ken opposed? No. All right. The rest of the evening is empty. You may stay if you like, or you may. Councillor Roman, a motion, please, for the bylaws.
Moved by myself and by Councilor Wellman, that the following bylaw be read a first and second time, 17.1, bylaw number 584-25, being a bylaw to close a portion of a public highway known as East River Road, pin 0583 North Dumfries. 17.2, bylaw number 3588-25, being a bylaw to appoint an acting chief official, Eric Cleghorn. 17.3, bylaw number 3589-25, being a bylaw to confirm the proceeding of council September 8th, 2025.
All those in favor? Carry, thank you. And Councillor Williams, the third reading of the bylaws, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Holman, that bylaws number 3584-25, 3588-25, and 3589-25 be read a third and final time, be signed and sealed by the mayor and clerk.
All those in favor? Carry, thank you. And Councillor Tilly, please, the adjournment.
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Williams, that whereas this business before this council meeting has been completed at 7:37 PM, and be it resolved that this meeting is adjourned.
All those in favor? Carry, thank you.